Welcome to Heart and Hustle in Hamilton County. This is do we still call this a podcast? Or is it called something else? A podcast about the policies and procedures that govern Hamilton County government, all of the different departments and employees that carry out the work of Hamilton County government, and how we work with all of our communities through the programs we offer to make this community a better place. So every week we highlight a different department or program and try to show you a bit about what goes into those programs, and more importantly, the people and the county employees that are behind those programs. Sometimes we can get a little bit wonky, but we try to keep it informative for all of our residents so that you can understand exactly what's going on in your community. So today, I am thrilled to be back in my old stomping grounds of the Hamilton County Department of Environmental Services to talk with, I don't even know that I'm going to get the title right anymore, because back when I was here it was Solid Waste Program Manager, but now the department is called Hamilton County Resource, and we're here with Michelle Balz, who is the Director of Hamilton County Resource. This is a department in the county, flies a bit under the radar, if you want my honest opinion, and probably shouldn't, because it does absolutely fantastic work in the field of sustainability and the environment for this community. So Michelle, welcome to Heart and Hustle in Hamilton County. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about overall the work that Resource does for Hamilton County.
Sure. So my name is Michelle Balz. I've worked for Hamilton County for 23 years, and almost the whole time has been here at Hamilton County Resource. We are the solid waste district for Hamilton County. So in the state of Ohio, every county has to have a solid waste district, and it is our job to plan for the solid waste in the county. So we're talking about garbage and recycling, and we have to make sure that we are going to meet state mandated recycling goals and make sure that there's enough capacity and enough facilities to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And first things first, when people hear solid waste, they think of different things. And so for folks who are out there, this is not the Metropolitan Sewer District, right?
No,
I don't know how many times you probably get someone hitting you saying, hey, can you help me with a sewer issue? This is not the sewer district, correct?
That's right. We are talking about garbage. We are not talking about sewage.
Exactly. So this department does planning for solid waste, right? So trying to map out a long-term plan for where's our garbage going to go, how we're going to recycle more of it, that type of thing. Let's start talking a little bit about recycling, because I think a lot of people can get their arms around that, because I've always thought of it as, when you think of the environment and sustainability, it's one thing that people is just very relevant to them. They know it in their homes and their apartments, et cetera. Talk to us a little bit about why recycling is important.
Sure. I mean, it's something that everyone can do. And when you think about recycling, you're really talking about resource use. So you're talking about what we as a society are going to do with the materials that we interact with every day. So for example, when I'm finished with my drink, I can take this and throw it in the garbage, and the garbage truck will come and pick it up. They'll drive it out to the landfill, and it will be buried in a hole for the rest of its life. That would be the end of it. Or I can choose to recycle it, and it will go to a recycling facility, get separated and baled with other aluminum cans, get sent to a local manufacturer or regional manufacturer. About 80% of our recyclables stay in Ohio, in this area. So it will get sent to a manufacturer, it will get melted down and turned into a new aluminum can, will be on the shelf in 60 days as a new product. So really, when you're choosing to recycle, you're fueling the local economy, you're helping to provide jobs to people here in Ohio and in the region, and you're conserving our resources. So when, we're not going to stop making aluminum cans anytime soon. So when that manufacturer goes to make aluminum cans, if they don't have enough recycled aluminum, they're going to have to use raw bauxite, which you have to go to another country to get. So you would have to go get that raw bauxite, use 95% more energy to turn that bauxite into a new aluminum can. So it's really just being smart about our resource use. It's fueling the local economy, it's saving energy, it's reducing pollution, and it's doing something smarter with our materials than just putting them in a hole.
So you just hit on something that I think when people think about the environment. They think about different ways they can help, and they think about things very siloed, right? Like, I want to do this to help conserve water. I want to do this to help conserve energy. Recycling, though, actually runs the gamut and crosses over all those lines. When you recycle something, you're not just saving something from going to the landfill, you are also helping all those other issues that you're concerned about as a citizen. You're helping out with, like you said, pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, keeping climate change from getting worse, right? I mean, these are all things that recycling does.
Yeah, there are lots of environmental benefits, social benefits. It really is important that we are smart with what we do with our resources.
So you've got a new program here, bin it, bag it, drop it, right? Did I get it right? Bag it, bin it, drop it?
I'm sure. That's close.
Did I get it right or not?
I think Bennett Baggett. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the program.
Sure. So we're doing a recycling campaign this year. It has the normal list of what you can put in your recycling bin. So making sure that you're putting in the right materials. But we're also expanding that to let people know about things that you can recycle outside of what you can recycle curbside and in drop-offs traditionally. So there are a couple avenues that you can take. You can go to the Recycling and Reuse Hub, where you can bring lots of materials that you may not think that you can normally recycle, like your flower pots and things that you can't put in your bin, but you can bring there. And then there's also the Hefty Orange Bag Program.
Yeah.
So you can buy these orange bags and you can fill them with styrofoam, with plastic film and those kinds of things. And then you keep it in that bag, and then you can put that in your recycling cart with your recyclables loose, and then that material will get pulled out and recycled.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we're trying to let people know about the kind of little extra recycling if they want to take it a step further.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so we're going to get into some additional programs that you guys do here that I want to talk about, but let's get wonky here for a second, right? Because when you did your introduction, you also talked about the fact that not only do you do recycling programs here, but you plan for solid waste, right? So talk a little bit about what that means in a community. Like, why is planning for solid waste important? What does it mean exactly? And why is that important, and how do you guys go about actually doing that here at the Solid Waste District?
So we're required to update a 15-year solid waste plan every 5 years. And as part of that, we do a lot of community engagement, getting people's input on what we should be doing with the money that we have budgeted in order to reduce waste. But we also look at what facilities are available for not only garbage, so making sure, do we have enough landfill capacity in our region for the garbage that we are going to create in the next 15 years. But then also there are state mandated diversion goals. There's goals that we have to reach for how much we're not sending to the landfill. And so we have to look at, are there enough composting facilities? Are there enough material recovery facilities for recyclables? And thinking about that processing capacity, and then also thinking beyond that of what programs could we offer that would help people further reduce their waste. So things like our household hazardous products collection or a yard trimmings drop-off, things that we can do to help people reduce their waste at home.
Got it. And so I was going to ask you about, I know every time, no matter what the subject was, when I was at the Department of Environmental Services and I was out talking to people about anything, the issue that would come up would be household hazardous products or household hazardous waste, whatever you want to call it. So the stuff that people find under their cabinets, the old cleaning products, solvents, all that kind of stuff. Talk a little bit about household hazardous products and what the philosophy is of this district in terms of how residents of Hamilton County should go about properly managing those materials.
Absolutely. So household hazardous products are anything that you would find in your home that you had purchased that would be that you would not be safe to throw away or recycle through your regular curbside collection. These can be things like motor oil or oil-based paints, pesticides, fertilizers, pool chemicals, those kinds of things. They would cause a hazard if they were to get into the regular waste stream. So we have a search tool on our website that's reuse and recycling outlets, where there are actually year-round outlets for many of those materials. So things like motor oil, you can bring year-round to local quick change oil places. So if you change your own oil, you can actually bring your oil to them. They'll put it with the oil that they're collecting and they'll recycle it. So there are outlets for many materials. There are some things that you will find yourself with, like pool chemicals, for example, that there are not outlets. And so we offer household hazardous product collections. We've partnered with communities. So this year we partnered with 10 communities. We're hoping to partner with as many as 20 next year, where we'll have smaller events like in a community where the residents that live around that community can bring their hazardous products for easy disposal. And sometimes they will get recycled. Sometimes it's just safe disposal. And then we also have a one-day collection event, which just happened this past weekend in Norwood, where we had a Friday and Saturday where people could register and bring their materials.
Got it. And the other question, and I know phone calls that you guys probably get all the time, is what about batteries? What do people do with batteries?
So batteries are something that we all find ourselves with. So my first piece of advice would be, whenever you can use rechargeable batteries, do so. So rather than using the single-use batteries, try to use rechargeable in your products. If you don't, there are outlets that you can bring batteries. There's Batteries Plus Bulbs, Cohen, Clean Lights. There's a whole list on our website if you go on where you can bring your batteries. The ones that are causing the most problems are lithium-ion batteries, and these are in things like laptops, but they can also be in all kinds of different products, from little scooters, like electric scooters, to the cards that you get on your birthday that sing to you. Sometimes they will even have lithium-ion batteries. And the danger is that when that battery gets crushed under pressure, it can start a fire. And so it is a really big hazard, not only to you in your home if that gets crushed and starts a fire, but also to the sanitation worker who's driving the garbage truck, where it's going to get crushed in the garbage truck, right? It's causing fires in the back of the garbage trucks. It will also cause fires at the landfill or the recycling facility. So we want to make sure that we are not putting those in the waste or recycling and bringing those to the proper outlets. Got it. So as folks who are watching probably can tell, you and I could probably sit here and talk for like an hour and a half or more about a ton of different stuff and all the different programs. So, but recognizing that we have limited time, there's a couple other things I wanted to ask you about, Michelle, before I ask you for your thoughts on your favorite or opinion on most innovative program going on here at Hamilton County Resource. But the Hamilton County Residential Recycling Incentive Grant. Mm-hmm. So again, getting a little bit more policy oriented and wonky on this. For folks, especially those who live in Hamilton County, who wonder, what does Hamilton County do to help my community recycle? Talk a little bit about the amount of resources that the county provides to local communities to help incentivize recycling and how we go about doing that. Sure. So we have a significant portion of our budget, $800,000 a year, that goes to the residential recycling incentive. So all the communities, and there's 48 in our solid waste district because Milford is not considered part of our solid waste district. So they report to us how many tons they've landfilled, how many tons they've recycled, how many tons they've composted, and every year in the early spring, and then we divide that $800,000 grant up depending on their diversion rate and their tons recycled, and give them money to help offset the cost of their curbside recycling programs, their yard trimmings, composting programs, their recycling drop-offs. We're helping offset those costs. It doesn't cover the cost completely, but it does help offset those costs for the communities to keep offering those programs to their residents. I think when I was here, and this may have changed, but it was something like 15 to 20% at times of the cost of a community's recycling program that it helps offset. So that for a community's budget, that is really significant. Yeah. So okay, I'm just going to go ahead and, because I don't want to keep going into my favorite things. When you think about the waste reduction, recycling, and environmental programs that Hamilton County Resource does, I've asked you about some of the things I think would be, kind of on the glossy brochure, right? That most people would ask about.
what is Michelle Balz's all-time favorite program that you have seen implemented here at Hamilton County Resource?
Oh gosh, that's really hard.
I didn't tell you this was coming.
I know.
So
I think, can I pick two?
Sure.
Okay.
It's your
So
program.
I think that backyard composting will always have a special place in my heart. So I think that we do a lot of work to try to encourage residents to compost in their backyard. It's a really impactful thing that you can do with your food scraps to, so you're not sending them to the landfill and you're making something useful, you're making a really valuable soil amendment. So I think we have programs where we have seminars in the spring where we'll go out and teach people about that. We have compost bin sales. We do a blog on backyard composting. So backyard composting, I always has to get an honorable mention. But I think the most impactful thing we do is our campaigns on trying to change behavior around reducing food waste at home. So if you've ever read Project Drawdown, which is a book all about our impacts that we can make to reduce climate change, there are two things that you can do that are far above everything else as far as reducing your personal impact on climate change, and they're eating a plant-based diet, which obviously we have nothing to do with, and reducing your food scraps. And so reducing your food waste is neck and neck with that. So it really is a very impactful thing that you can do, and it's all about changing your behaviors, and everybody has contact with food, right? Everybody is eating, hopefully, at some point. And so I think being able to make tweaks to how you, manage your food at home so that you're not throwing away as much really can have a big environmental impact.
That's awesome. And I should probably also just use this point in time to point out you are the quite accomplished author in the field of composting, I believe, as well. So you're speaking not just from the perspective of someone who runs an organization that's responsible for this, but someone who is personally and passionately believing in what you're doing. So, so Michelle, I just want to thank you so much for being my guest on the first ever video podcast, whatever it is we're calling it, of Heart and Hustle in Hamilton County. I feel kind of like this is the point in time where I should say, we've got a small gift for you, but I don't.
No gift necessary.
Okay, good, because I don't have one unless we're going to give away the plant that I don't own. But thank you for all the work that you do here. Thanks to all the staff at Hamilton County Resource who just do a fantastic job on behalf of all of Hamilton County residents, keeping the environment clean and sustainable for future generations. Thanks so much, Michelle.
All right, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate all you do, too.
Well, thank you. And thanks to you for watching Heart and Hustle in Hamilton County. We're going to be back here at least a couple of times before the end of the year with a few more episodes highlighting Hamilton County departments and what they do to help out with all aspects of our local government. And I think we may even have a special second part of the environment in Hamilton County that we'll be following up with next. So please, if you can, log on to hamiltoncounty.ohio.gov, and there'll be a link to the administrator's webpage, and that's where you'll be able to find this podcast. Thanks again for being here.